Hello and welcome to Wild, Wise and Curious. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Lou, and we're really glad that you're here with us today.
You can listen to Wild, Wise and Curious wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you'd like to watch the conversation too, you can find us as a video podcast over on YouTube.
Let's get into today's conversation.
Welcome to Wild, Wise and Curious, Diane. It's lovely to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Slightly nervous, but hey ho. Go and do it anyway, right?
We'll be gentle. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
What is it that Susan Jeffers says? Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, funnily enough, I'm a very big believer in that. And the one thing that scares the heebie-jeebies out of me is throwing myself out of an aeroplane. So guess what I'm doing this year?
You're going to throw yourself out an aeroplane?
I'm going to throw myself out of an aeroplane because I don't want to. And I think that's the best... It's the best lesson you can teach yourself, because I think, who was it? Will Smith did it, and he said the actual fear. There's a YouTube video if you look it up. Will Smith and skydiving. He said the fear is actually when you're standing at the window of the door of the plane. The rest of it's all in your head. It's all a build up because nothing's actually happening at that point.
Yeah.
But my son, interestingly. 3 years ago was really scared of heights, and it was life-changing for him. He wouldn't go even up like half a tree trunk. Okay. You know, like if you get the little steps up, he wouldn't even go up half a ladder of a tree or something because he was scared of the heights. And I thought he was only 14, I think, at the time. And his school at the time had one of these treetop adventures. And he had the opportunity to go out and do this as a relaxing activity for fitness and fun. And he was really missing out. And I was like, I've got to try and help him, at least try and overcome that. And then once he's done it the once, he can then decide based on fact rather than thought, do I actually really like it or not? It's like trying a new food for the first time. And we went on holiday to Wales a few years ago, and we had one of these adventure days where we went into like this woodland and they were doing all these like jumps, and we had this little roller coaster thing where you sit on these little carts and they whiz through the woods. And it's like a roller coaster but without the engine behind it. Okay. But it's free flowing downhill, so it's really adrenaline, but it's really good fun. And he did all of that, but we get to this, I think it was 270-foot jump, and you climb up it and you stand on a platform and you've got all your harness and everything on. And then you stand on this platform and then they just remove the platform and you fall. So it's like a free fall thing.
Wow.
And I said to him, by the end of today, we're going to do that. Because I've jumped off of Victoria Falls, Dry Gorge on my honeymoon, funnily enough, with my husband. We had an activity day like you do. We did this like reverse bungee jump thing where they drop you off the side of the gorge. Great fun, by the way, great fun. And I'm like, do you know what? I think showing him that actually you can overcome these things and it might open up other doors. It took me 25 minutes to get him up the stairs. Yeah. Bearing in mind, it's like a spiral staircase, probably 4 or 5 floors up. It took me 25 minutes. It took me another 10 minutes to get him onto the flat bit at the top.
Yeah.
And then it took me 25 minutes to get him to open the door after the guide put the harness on and to shut the door. And then I just got him to close his eyes and I held on to him and they let this thing go and he screamed like a baby all the way down. And then he swore, which I let him, right? And when he got to the bottom, the adrenaline kicked in. He swore again, but he was laughing and crying all at the same time.
My God.
And this is the most beautiful moment and I will never forget this. He looked in my eyes and he went, "Can I do that again?" That was effing awesome, he said to me. And can I do it again? Now, from that, so he went up and did it again. And the company, and I would mention them, I can't remember their names, otherwise I'd mention them for a bit of free PR. But they were so impressed with his bravery and exhilaration, they allowed him to go and do it again for free.
Oh, bless.
But we didn't pay for the second one. And we were like, because we'd been there for so long trying to ease him onto this platform and get him down, they said, "Oh, you can do it for free." And we were the last ones at the end of the day, so all the staff stayed without getting paid.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
To allow him to do it again whilst they were technically closed. So he went and did it again on his own the second time, And then he went back to school the following week and he joined the treetops thing and he went and did that. It's a bit like Gape, but they've got their own private land and woodland. He went and did that, and within 6 months of doing that, he was an instructor on the high ropes.
Oh my gosh.
And then he became a rescue instructor. So when all the kids got stuck, he was the one that went like backwards and up in reverse on the, and he could do the entire thing in like 45 seconds, this thing. And he literally changed his life. All because I said to him, we're going to do that together. So going back to the skydive, there's a reason for the story. Because of that, he now works in an aerodrome. He's training to be a pilot because that's his dream job.
Wow.
Training to be a pilot now. He's just started. He's done his third lesson for his PPL. And we live near Headcorn Aerodrome, which is like 10 minutes from us. And he's now got a job in the skydive team and he kits people up for all the skydives every weekend. And he said, Mummy, you helped me, I'm going to help you. So the whole thing's come in like this gorgeous circle.
Oh gosh, how lovely.
Yeah. And he said, Mummy, when you do your jump, I'm going to be there to push you.
I bet he did. So it's more about revenge, Diane.
Yeah. A bit of revenge and a bit of a thank you. Yeah. And a bit, but I really like the way the whole thing's just completely come full circle. So yeah, if ever you've got something, I'm a true believer. If your body says don't or your mind says don't, go do it safely, obviously.
Putting yourself out of that comfort zone, isn't it? And just how much our minds can just stop us from doing things.
Yeah, because half of it, as Will Smith said in this video I saw, like a YouTube thing I watched, he said it's all in the head. Because the fear doesn't actually start till you get in the plane. The rest of it is what you think is going to happen. It's what the brain, it's what the ego builds up to try and protect you from hurting yourself by chucking yourself out of a plane. So yeah, so that's my goal this year: throw myself out of an aeroplane because my body's telling me not to.
And is that a perimenopause thing?
I think there's probably an element of that in there because I think when you get to that matriarchal point of your life where you've been the leader and you've been running the family and you've been that central point, you also then go to a point where you focus on yourself. So I think there is an element of that in there, definitely. Yeah.
Bucket phase.
Definitely, I didn't know if I was allowed to say that, but there's
you
a lot of that going on as well.
Well, there you go. But you now
what's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah, really. I'm going to scream all the way down, or I'm going to bottle it right at the last minute, right? But I'm going to put myself out there, and I have said to my son, "You're not going to let me bottle it."
Amazing. So what? So we're going to go to the very first question that we ask. I'm probably the only question, really. But how did you come to realise that you were perimenopausal?
Okay. So perimenopause. I'm 51. And it probably started for me probably about 4 years ago. So I'd have been, 47. And I remember saying to my husband one day, can you check if I've knits? And this is going to sound really bizarre, right? And he was like, and he's a bloke. He's like, what does a knit look like? Whereas us mums, right, we've seen knits before because we comb the hair and all that. I'm like, they look like tiny little black dots. And I'm separating my hair and I've got really long hair. And there's a lot of it and I'm separating. I'm going, can you have a look? Can you have a look? And he's like, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. So I booked myself in at the doctor's and I said, I've got this really excessive itching on my scalp.
Yeah.
And I'm talking waking up, scratching it in the night. And it was 24/7. It wasn't just every now and then like a hot flash would be. It was all the time. And the doctor kind of laughed at me and he was like, you don't have knits. And I was like, well, what is it then? And he went, don't know. And I was like, okay. I then found out that itching is actually really common in Asia for perimenopause, but not in the Western world.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Then the itching just got worse, like in between the toes, in between the fingers, in really weird places that you wouldn't expect. Then I got it on my legs, lower calf, like on the calves around the back. A bit like, I looked like I'd been bitten by like 400 mosquitoes.
Okay.
The itching and the lumps on the skin was horrendous. And I actually went to the beauty salon and said, you know, I tried like having my legs waxed and all that to see if I could help with the growth. Because what I found is the hair for me grows through thicker now.
Okay.
So it's thicker and harder.
Yeah.
And I think it just makes it harder to come through the follicle of the skin. So that was my first real sign, but I didn't know it was a sign until a little bit later on down the line. So it was one of those things where I looked back and went, that's what it was. And I'd say that was my first sign. Then it would be the usual, you know, the hot flushes and the mood swings. I think, yeah, definitely. My husband would definitely say there's mood swings in there. And then libido and all that, you know, the usual kinds of things. But I'm pleased to say I'm not anti-medication at all. I think there's a functionality for it in life. But I'm very much of the mind that we use it to our advantage and maybe don't rely on it as much as society teaches us that we should rely on it. And I'm very big on taking responsibility for my own health. So for me, the medication wasn't a route I wanted to go down from a HRT point of view. And I've managed to reverse, when I say all of my symptoms, probably 95% of my symptoms now. I'm pretty much symptom free. I get the odd bit of itching sometimes still on my hands, but it's so infrequent, it's tolerable now.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like really bad. So yeah, definitely look out for the itching. And like it feels like worms are crawling under your bust and stuff like that with the skin elasticity when it's reducing and stuff. So definitely the itching. Look out for the itching because people don't tell you about that.
No, they don't. No, they don't at all.
So when you started to recognise that you were going through all these symptoms, at what point then were you just kind of taking each symptom individually and doing something to help with that, or did you take the whole and start?
I kind of looked at it, I think eventually, because I didn't realise the itching was a sign, that awareness didn't start for me until I started getting like the mood swings.
Okay.
So I'm a big lover with doTERRA oils. I use a lot of oils and I use doTERRA because they're food grade. There are other brands out there that are very clean, but I think if you're going to put it on or in your body, because it's one of the same thing, for me, I've got to know that it's safe to do so and that there's guidance in terms of what you can consume, what you can't consume and to what level. So I basically just started using all my doTERRA oils. I'd already been using them anyway for hay fever, which I've had on and off over the years. So I would blend up my own oils for hay fever, which is lavender, peppermint and lemon, if anyone needs to know that. Equal amounts of all three, and just blend them up with some oil with like a fractionated coconut oil or an almond oil if you're not allergic to nuts. And blend that up, and then you can make nasal sprays and you can use it topically on the skin. You can put it on tissue, pop it on your nose and stuff like that. It's a little free tip for you. So I started doing that. And then when it got really bad, when I was like full on hot flushes, and I was getting them all day long, not at night. So I was getting sleep, but I was a rat bag during the day, which is, I'd rather not get the sleep and be nicer in the day, I think, if I had to choose. I went and had some bioresonance done with a local practitioner that I'd found, and it quite literally changed my life. Like I was literally a new person within 8 months, and I didn't touch one bit of medication.
Wow. Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about what bioresonance does?
Yeah, so it's known as either bioresonance or bioenergetic testing, and basically what it does, your body obviously is an electric circuitry. That's how it communicates with itself, if people don't know that. And what it does is it creates a circuit. So you normally hold a couple of probes, one in each hand. That creates a connection for the circuit itself. It then reads your electrical signatory, and then it works out what we call a baseline. So it says, okay, your baseline looks like this. So everyone's baseline is going to look slightly different because we're all beautifully unique in our own way. And a little bit like your fingerprint, no fingerprint's the same. Your energy is exactly the same. It's all different. So it'll read your baseline and then it'll work out where the imbalances are. And it has the energetic imprints of, when I say tens of thousands of toxins, foods, whatever it might be, and it will work out what imbalances your energetic cycle. And it then uses that information to rebalance that energetic cycle so the body can communicate with itself properly.
Wow.
And that's pretty much, in layman's terms, how it works. And it is incredible. Different practitioners work with different remedies. So the one I worked with, he was very big on like a Bach's flower kind of remedy. So he would look at where the imbalances are. Then he'd give you drops and bits and pieces. I don't personally, so I invested in this machine, by the way. It's cost me nearly 10 grand. I invested in this machine and did the training because it was so instrumental in my journey. I was like, I've got to bring that into my clinic.
Yeah.
And I bought it back into last year in about November, September, October, November. I don't do the remedies purely for me because my wellness journey is all about saving people money.
Okay.
And I think when you're giving somebody a remedy on an ongoing basis, there's an additional cost for that. You're already paying a fairly hefty premium because whilst the actual system of doing bioresonance is quite quick, you're paying for the machine and the investment side of it. So I don't want to be charging someone. I mean, at one point I was on 4 different remedies and I was paying like 80-90 quid just for the remedies themselves.
Yeah.
When you've already paid for the session itself, it just doesn't resonate with me to then charge. So what I do is I use the system to actually just imprint the sugar pillules and I give the client that. So it imprints, it rebalances that energetic message in between the sessions. So I do the reading, I do a clearing, and then I give them the pillules after so that they can rebalance themselves in between the sessions. And then they haven't got that additional cost. But each one works to different. Some people use oils. You can program it to use doTERRA oils, or if you're a homeopath, you can do homeopathic remedies, that kind of thing. So you can do chakras and things like that in it as well. It's really fascinating.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So it's almost like reprogramming the.
Yeah, you're reprogramming your electrical circuitry.
Yeah.
So that when I always say to people, you know, you drive, especially at the moment, it's rife. You drive down the road, there's road closure here and a road closure there, and you're forever being diverted. I went to Ashford the other day and there was like 4 road closures and my sat nav was having a hissy fit. I was having a hissy fit and I arrived literally like half an hour late. I'd allowed an hour to do half an hour journey and I still arrived late. You get really stressed when those things happen. We're humans, we get stressed. We try not to. And your body's no different. Your body works in exactly the same way. So the energetic cycle is trying to go round the way it should be going, and it's finding all these diversions and blockages, and it gets stressed, or it gets drained, one of the two. And all you're doing is you're clearing that circuitry so that when you turn the light switch on, the light turns on, it doesn't flicker. And that's basically how I explain it to people in the most simplest terms.
Okay. So the when you went and had yours done, you were given the Bach flower remedies as well, and something that kind of, so was it that helped, the Bach flower remedies, or was
It's both. It's both. I think the Bach's flower remedies was a big part of it because that helps to support the body to keep balanced in between sessions. Because in between sessions, you're looking at anything from 6-8 weeks up to 3 months, because it's quite a costly thing to invest in, as a lot of these natural things are. It's easier to pop a pill at your doctors and go, thanks very much, and crack on. But you're not getting to the root cause of the problem. You're just masking a symptom, which is not what I like to do. So the remedies definitely helps keep that balance in between. But the bioenergetic system does do a clearing at the same time. But I think the remedy in between is a really important part of that journey, yeah.
But it helped you so much that you then went and trained in it and invested in one machine for yourself.
Yeah, well, and I've put it in so I've opened a clinic as well in the last few months, which I just absolutely, I mean, I'm here now actually because it's nice and quiet. Got builders in at home at the minute, so it's like, don't do podcasts and Zooms when you're at home and there's a guy drilling in the room next to you. So yeah, I bought it. I always had it in the back of my mind, but I knew what the investment looked like. So I just kind of opened it up and said, when I'm in a position to do it, I'll do it. And that
So
was
what were you doing before you went into perimenopause then, and went on this kind of journey into what helped you?
I kind of wasn't, because actually, as with all of these things, it was all in divine timing, really. Everything kind of fell down in at the right time where I was in my wellness journey. I mean, my wellness journey started, I mean, it actually realistically started when I was 6, but I didn't realize that because I was held up in an armed robbery when I was a kid with my parents
Wow, okay.
and my brother. And I really started suffering from about the age of 8 with panic attacks, blackouts. I then developed irritable bowel, like really bad irritable bowel as a child. I was in hospital with it when I was like 14. And of course, with all of these things, they have labels and they have names. But when you do blood tests, and when I was having the blackouts, they were doing ECGs, and my body was telling them from a blood test ECG, this body is fine. There's no problem. But when you don't black out and throw up and this, that, and the other on a regular basis, if there's not a problem.
Of course.
And through that whole, I thought, because the symptoms started at such an early age, most of my life, I thought, well, this is just the way my body is. This is just, this is normal. This is normal for me. And a few people had said to me over the years, Diane, it's not normal to go to the toilet once a week. And I was like, no, that's normal for me.
Why not? Yeah.
It's not, you might go every day, that's normal for you. This is normal for me. And I thought that because I never knew any different.
Yes.
So that I genuinely believed that was normal for me. Then I got into doing a bit of like personal development in my mid-30s. That kind of just opened my mind a bit. And then I started realizing that I was reacting to certain situations in ways in where I was starting to question, why do I do that? And why do I say that? And why do I feel this? And why internally is this dialogue doing this thing in my head? And I'm like, why are you saying that, to yourself? That then got me into the personal development journey. And I think that's when the real awakening started happening. That was probably my mid-30s, when I realized actually there was a different programming, something going on. That journey went on for about 10 years, if I'm honest. And I started really kind of like peeling back the layers. And anyone that's been through a real trauma will know that it takes time. Then I got to a point where I kind of hit rock bottom with it all. And I was like, holy moly, everything that I am and everything that I've learned is complete BS. I've basically got to rewire my internal system. And I've got to start again, and I've got to find who I want to be, not who I have been. And it was almost like everything that I am was a complete lie.
Okay.
And that was that was hard. Yeah. Say again.
Like everything had been built on a number of coping strategies.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But also really beautiful. The hardest thing I've ever had to do. I would rather have my kids again, but I mean physically. And I had 2 really traumatic births, and I would rather go through that another 2 or 3 times than go through that rebalancing. I did it on my own, and I think probably it would have been a bit easier if I'd have had some guidance and help, definitely. But at that time, I didn't really know who, where, why, how. And I was that kind of like, okay, we've got a problem, let's just crack on and fix it. That was my mindset. I was very And that came from that protection mechanism. We've got this problem, let's just go fix it. Let's just move on to the next thing. And we don't get involved in what the problem is. We don't analyze it. So my mindset was in the right place for me to do that. And I think that's what got me through. But I did hit rock bottom. And for about 3 months, I just turned myself off from life for a little bit and went and had a bit of therapy just to kind of like bring myself back. And I say that out loud because I don't think therapy should be shunned.
100%.
The older generation, I think certain people I talk to that are in the older generation, like, oh, what do you have in therapy for? What you have in therapy for? Where actually I think it's really healthy to externalize it, get it out of the system, because I now go every single day. And I literally had a happy dance the first time I went to the toilet twice a day. I literally had a happy dance because I realised that actually my normal wasn't normal. And that was my sign that my body was so yeah, so that was my journey with that.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot there, isn't there?
Yeah, I know.
Brought you to this point then, and then
Yeah.
then continuing on this journey.
Yeah, still going on. And I think, it's called a journey for a reason, because you always grow, you do new things, you develop, you grow, you learn, you do new things. And I don't think that journey ever really stops. I've just signed myself up to be a breathwork master because I love learning.
Yeah.
And I just think it's another modality that I can add that helps me, that helps my clients, helps my knowledge, keeps my brain alive. There's 4 massive wins there. Yes, it's cost money. That comes back in circles eventually. And it's a really good way of stabilizing the central nervous system, understanding the body, and understanding how you can work with the body to heal yourself. And that's all I'm interested in now. I have got a few things going on health-wise at the minute, and I may have to intervene temporarily with medication, but that's by my choice if I decide to do that. And that is a stopgap to give me the strength to move forward. And I think that's, you choose how you want to use the system, and you choose how you want to be moving forward. So yeah, so we'll see how the journey unfolds.
Wow, but the breathwork journey, I mean, that's going to be a big journey, isn't it? How long is the training for?
I think it's going to be about a year,
Okay.
because I had the option of doing just the main part of the training, but then they said, "Do you want to be a master?" And I was like, "Oh, that sounds quite nice. What does that mean?" And they said it means you can teach it as well. So I'm thinking long term, if I want to slow down and I want to do some like online training and that kind of thing, and I want to move abroad eventually. So I'm kind of thinking long term with that. I could do
Absolutely.
training online. And so I thought, oh well, it was only an extra, what, 800-900 quid. Fuck it. Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Defo, but
So I
it is
said yes.
powerful. It's powerful stuff, isn't it?
Breath work is really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't trained in it or anything, but my husband, he will watch listen to YouTube stuff most mornings and sort of do breath work. And I was getting to the point where when I first started perimenopause symptoms, it started with like palpitations, and funnily enough, I had a little ridge on the back of my head that was just constantly itchy. And this is about 5 or 6 years. And then there was this breath where my breathing felt different. It felt like I couldn't get a full lungful, but
Yeah.
I was breathing fine, but I was like really aware of the breath. Anyway, that was like 5 or 6 years ago, but and it sort of like went away over time. But about 3 months ago now, I started to feel the palpitations. I didn't have the anxiety or anything else that had been associated with it before. It was just the palpitations, and I was like, "That, ooh, not keen on that. That doesn't feel very nice." But I wasn't worried about it or panicked. So so my husband sent me this little 15-minute breath work that I now do most mornings, and literally within about, oh God, I don't even think it was a week, those palpitations that had started to sort of creep in had stopped.
Yeah.
I literally get them once in a blue moon now, and I can almost turn them off.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's
yeah.
so powerful. And what actually happens from a physiological point of view when you do that breath work, you're bringing the intention into your breath. And what it's doing is it's telling your central nervous system and your subconscious, because they're the 2 things that control the show at the end of the day from an internal point of view, is that you are actually safe. Because a lot of the reactions, so my panic attacks, I now know, were my body's way of protecting me from being robbed again.
Yes.
Because systematically my system thought I was in danger for whatever reason. I wasn't. One day I was out having lunch with my brother when it kicked off. Another time I was having an eye test,
Yeah.
really like normal everyday things. But for whatever reason, from an electrical point of view, the body didn't realize that. And then it goes into panic mode and it shuts down to protect you. What the breath work does is it tells the central nervous system, actually, you're safe. So then it gives permission for the rest of the body to go, okay, I can take a day off.
Yeah.
And that's as simple as it is. It works with the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system, and it increases the nitric oxide and the oxygen in the body. But in essence, it tells the body it's safe. So a really good one that I do, and I've been doing a lot lately because I've been thrown a pallet of lemons in the last month or so, is if I feel a little bit like that, I just breathe in for 4 and out for 8. Whatever number you breathe in for, you just double it on your out breath. So you're doubling the out breath to the in breath. And what that does is that calms the central nervous system and tells you it's safe. So that's another really easy top tip if you are a little bit anxious.
Yeah.
And it's a great one to do because you can do it any way you like and it's completely free. It don't cost anything. And that's the other thing I like about breath work. Yes, I'm going to have to spend money to learn how to do it. After about 4 months, I can start doing an element of classes and bringing it into the work that I do in the clinic and in my sound baths. But it is a tool that once you've learnt it, like you said, once you've learnt it, you can do it anywhere and it's completely free.
Exactly. So if you have a panic attack in the middle of the supermarket or whatever, you can just take a moment. It's not like you've got to go lay down and, get your...
Yeah, it's not like you've got to go and grab a stranger. I mean, literally, I would go and grab a stranger and go, right, I'm about to black out and I'm about to throw up and about to do this. Can you just lay me down on the floor and wait with me until I wake up and then call this number? And they'd be like, what? And you would literally be stopping strangers in the middle of the street going, I'm a bit, this is about, because I would know my heart would start going and then I'd have these massive like hot sweats, like a big hot flush, but all over my body from head to toe. It would literally flush like a wave. And then my muscles would actually all contract and seize up and then I couldn't talk.
Okay.
So I had a fine amount of time to warn someone, this is what's going to happen. I'm about to have a panic attack. I'm going to fall over. So I'd normally sit myself down. I'm going to wake up and then I'm going to throw up and then I'm going to not be able to speak. So can you just stay with me for a minute?
Wow.
Fortunately, it didn't happen very often.
Sorry, Diane. How old were you when that started to happen?
It started when I was about 8, but it actually started as a bit like a sugar deficiency.
Okay.
So if I ever did any sports, and I used to do swimming a lot as a kid, my mum used to take me swimming. And after the swimming, I'd have to have something sugary because I'd start getting like the shakes and the jitters. And I went and saw dietitians and, usual kind of stuff, in and out with doctors and stuff like that. And then it just developed and it just started getting worse and worse. I think my first actual proper panic attack, I was about 17.
Yeah.
So that went on for years before the body started expanding.
Yeah, you're young to kind of have to approach strangers and say, right, it's great that you kind of like had the sort of confidence to say to people, right, this is what's going to happen. You just need to stay with me. But that's a big thing, isn't it? Especially at 17, 18.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I only ever had about half a dozen.
Yeah.
They weren't that frequent. And even the first time I had one, I was like, holy moly, what was that?
Yeah, imagine.
And I got rushed into hospital. They thought there was seriously something wrong with me. And of course there was, systematically, but not from a physical point of view. The blood tests were fine, all the tests, they the ECG, you've got a lovely healthy heart and which was great. But it was like, well, why is this happening? And then I didn't have another one for like 18 months. So I kind of forgot about the first one when the second one happened. And then after, I was kind of like, oh, hang on a minute. That was exactly the same as that other one I had at that time. And they were always about 18 months, 2 years apart, which was very bizarre. And then one day they just stopped. Literally, they just stopped as quick as they started. So it's a mystery, but I just put it down to the body releasing that trauma and the subconscious mind trying to protect me from further danger, which is at the end of the day what the subconscious and the central nervous system are there to do. That's what the brain's for. Thinks it's protecting you. It loves you.
Yeah. So when did you move through? So you went through the personal development journey. You went through all, and then you went into sound baths. You're going into breath work. So how did that all kind of join itself to your journey?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually. So when I went into that real dip and had that 3 months off of life, I then had the task of kind of like putting myself back in reality. And I kind of felt like my soul, I kind of felt like I was rebuilding my soul. And I remember saying to somebody, a friend of mine who's a Reiki master, I remember saying to her, I feel like my whole being and who I am as a person is this like 200-piece jigsaw puzzle in front of me, and I'm picking up one piece at a time and looking at it going, do I want that part of me anymore? Or do I let that go? Do I replace it? Do I change it? Do I tweak it? Or does it just go completely? That was the hardest bit, kind of like choosing, but it was a choice, and that it's also a blessing, right? But it was that rebuilding. And then as part of that process, at the end of once I'd done that, I then went off and did a bit of Reiki. I kind of wanted something just to focus on outside of that rebuild process. So my Reiki master said, "Oh, come and learn Reiki with me." So I went and did that, and that was great. I did a little bit of self-healing as part of that. Just did the Reiki one, didn't go and do like 2 or 3 or anything else. So that was part of the journey. But then what I started to do was invest in myself from a health and wellness point of view. So I'm again quite systematic in my approach, and I still am. It's what keeps me organized in my head. Otherwise, I go like this. Is I booked sound baths and little wellness practices in my diary every month, and my diary worked around those events.
Okay.
And I invested 1 or 2 hours a month, so nothing major. And the very first sound bath I went on, was it the first one? No, sorry, it wasn't the first one. I've got a friend of mine who is a womb master. She works very much with the feminine and the womb. She's a shaman. I connected with her, went to a couple of sessions that she was doing as a sister circle. Thought, oh, I really like this sound business, and I really like the drum, and I really like this, and I really like that. I'll go and find some sound baths. So I went to one locally to me, laid down on the floor with my mat, my blanket, and my pillow, and my fluffy socks and my water. And I went to sleep. She was doing all her bowls and everything, and it was all very lovely. And then I had an out of body experience.
Okay.
Now, it's not my first one, so I was perfectly calm and open to it. But as part of doing the Reiki, I'd connected with my guardian angels. So I knew roughly who they were. I knew I had a lady and 3 men, and I knew their names because I'd asked them as part of that process. And I met the female angel. She came to me in this out of state, theta mind state, when I was under in this sound bath. And we went off to this like barren land, and I say this with complete truth. Some people might think I'm proper batshit crazy, and I do get told that sometimes, and that's okay as well. But we had this like journey, and we went into this like Aboriginal place, almost like outbacky Australian kind of like didgeridoo kind of era. And we had this conversation, and it quite honestly felt like I'd been gone about 2 weeks. And I went, the lady did a little chime in the sound bath, and I woke up and I was like, oh, okay, we're back, kind of thing. And I went back home and said to my husband, I'm going to be a sound healer. And he went, a what? I went, I'm going to be a sound healer. I'm going to heal the world from the inside out. And he saw me as the scattergun, and he was like, oh God, she's on one of her little crusades.
We know that one.
Yeah, I know this one. I see this one coming. And of course, then literally within about 2 weeks, I'd phoned up my shaman friend, I'd phoned up my Reiki friend, done loads of research online. I found out who the best in the industry was and just signed up and started the course. Literally, it was all divine timing. The course started within about 3 weeks of me finding the right practitioner to work with. Did training for about, I know, 9 months. There's about 60 hours of online work to do first. So it's really in depth, proper full on sound training. And then we did 6 weekends and doing all the fun stuff and learning the instruments and all of that practical side of it and doing the case studies. Then I had to do case studies outside of that environment with real people outside of the training environment. And then I got fully qualified with distinction at the end of it. And that's how that part of the journey started. Then I've been brought in other modalities to help support that.
So how long ago was the sound?
About 4 years ago now.
Okay, so then you've
about 4
gone
years
on to do, what else have you gone on to
done
do?
the bioresonance as part of this health thing that I've got going on at the moment, the labels the system gives you. I went off and did some private blood tests where they analyze the blood and they tell you about the structure of the blood cells, where the protein is, are the blood cells sticking together, are they healthy, are they this and that. Met this lady and she did some kinesiology on me, and as soon as she turned my muscle off, I was like, how the hell did you just do that? what have you just done to me? And that started me off on a kinesiology journey. I then signed up to do kinesiology, and I've been qualified in that for about 6 months. And then I opened a practice literally 3 months ago. And I've just brought the whole thing together. So where my husband was saying to me, oh, you 1 minute you're doing Reiki, and then you're doing kinesiology, and then you're doing your sound, and you did it like this. I said, no, it's all a journey. And it's all going to beautifully fall together at the end. And he kind of just looked at me as if to say, yeah, all right, whatever. And here we are.
So now
yeah.
when you have people come into your clinic, you can see them from a holistic point of
Yes,
view.
100%. Yeah. So we look at it as the whole person. Yeah. So
And
I think I'm done now. I think once I've done the
You won't be. You won't
we'll
be.
come back to
yeah, I know.
you.
It's a dangerous thing to say. It's a dangerous thing to say, but yeah, I'm just all about, okay, yeah, the symptoms are important because they guide us, but I don't look at the symptoms as that's what's wrong. And I don't say wrong in a negative sense. That's where the imbalance is. I just look at that as a guide, and we just allow the body to tell us, because the body knows what it wants. If we just get out of the way,
Yep.
the body's actually really smart.
Yeah.
And I've actually know it's not the end of it, because there is something else I'm doing as well. I just remember
Alongside the breath work,
there
Diane.
is something else. So back in, I think, was it January, February, I came across this system called Rejuva. Now it's sold as like a weight loss program, but actually the way it works, it works with sound and vibration and frequency, which is right up my street. And what it does is it detoxes the lymphatic system. It cleans and detoxifies the colon, so that when you're eating your food, you can actually then absorb all the vitamins and the nutrients and the minerals from it. And I thought, right, well, I can't recommend this. It had great reviews, and it's like peer reviewed, and it guarantees weight loss. Although I wouldn't necessarily promote it for weight loss, because of where I am in my journey. I would do it from a health point of view. But I thought, I'll go and try it out and see if it's as good as it says. Oh my God. I lost, I mean, I'm quite little. I'm only 5'2", right? I lost 1 pound off a stone in 4 weeks.
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't take one supplement. I had a healthy eating regime. There's certain things you can eat, certain things you can't eat. It's like a big full-on detox. And it just showed me how powerful the body is. If you give the body the right environment, it springs back like that. It is phenomenal. So I had a kinesiology client. I haven't got his permission to use his name, so I won't, but he was actually one of my case studies when I was doing my training last year. And he came to see me just to help me out, and you do the medical and everything with him. And I took him off gluten, because we did some food testing on him with the kinesiology to see what foods the body didn't like and what foods the body treats as like what we call a superfood. And his bioacidic food was gluten. And I said, you've got to come off gluten. And he went, all right. He came off gluten on the Monday. The appointment was on the Monday. And he phoned me on the Friday night, and he said, Diane, what have you done to me? You must be a witch. And I went, well, I kind of am, but yeah. What do you do though? What's that?
Yeah.
And he went, I've lost half a stone. And I went, that's brilliant. He said, how on earth have you done that? I said, no, I haven't done it. You have. I said, and that just goes to show you that all we've done is we've taken one of the most toxic things that you've been putting in your body, and we've just stopped it. Yeah. And look how quickly your body's responded. And he was like, oh. And then he was naughty. He messaged me the next week and went, oh, I've had 2 takeaways this week. And I was like, yeah, that's not kind of the point, but yeah, that doesn't really help me, but okay.
You're giving him the information, right?
But yeah, absolutely. And my husband's, I'm putting him on the plan now as well. And he's lost half a stone in about a week or 10 days.
Wow.
So it's really powerful. So I'm looking to invest in this other thing as well now. So I'm not actually stopping at the breath work at all.
But next time you say it, we're not going to believe you.
I know,
don't you?
I love the system because it guarantees results. I mean, when I opened this clinic, I got phoned 16 times in an hour. Do you want energy? Do you want phone and broadband? Do you want this? Do you want that? And I got one from, I think it was Facebook or Meta or something, trying to flog me advertising. And I said, will you guarantee a return on my investment? They went, no. I said, then I'm not interested. And they said, no one guarantees return on investment. And I said, I disagree. And Rejuva does.
Yeah.
And that's why I like it, because they stand behind what they say.
So what is it you actually do? So you take, is it a bit like the bioresonance thing, as in it tells
Kind of. So it's like a very big TENS machine.
Okay.
And it's got the little sticky pads on it, you know, like the ones you get in
Yep.
hospital when you go, where they monitor your bloods and your heart rate and everything. And what they do is for this particular program that I did, it's got many programs, but for the one I did, it goes down the lymph. You stick it on the lymphatic system, so it starts under the breast and it goes all the way down the legs onto the feet, and then there's a couple that go around the back. And it runs through a cycle of vibration and frequency and pulsing.
Okay.
And it's that frequency and vibration and pulsating that decalcifies the colon. And what I mean by that is, if you think about limescale on a water pipe, you get say you've got a 2-inch pipe. Over time the water goes through, the limescale builds up, and then maybe you've only got an inch in your pipe, and then it's more pressure to get that water through. And your colon's exactly the same. What it does is it breaks that down and releases it
Okay.
back into the system. So it cleanses the system so that it can start absorbing all the nutrients and everything from the food that you're actually eating. And then if you eat cleanly, it boosts that along with the lymphatic system as well. Because I thought to myself, well, it's all in good losing a stone or pound off a stone for me. But if you put it all back on again after, what's the point? But because it boosts the lymphatic system, you don't, but if you carry on with healthy eating, not to the level of the detox, obviously, but if you cut down on your carbs and your sugar and all the obvious things, it actually stays off, and it retrains you, and it retrains your system on, reminds the system what it should be doing properly and how to do it. So yeah, so I'm probably going to do that one as well.
Well, what I'm loving about hearing about your journey, Diane, is it's like you've tried all these things and they've worked for you so well
Yeah.
that you've like gone, okay, I need to learn that, and I need
Yeah.
to be able to share that with other people, and that in
Yeah.
everything that you do, that's exactly what you've done, isn't it?
Yeah. So my end goal is, so I started working with corporate companies to do like wellness programs for their staff. I'm working with a school at the minute with the teachers, because that's quite a stressful job. I also work with a group of carers. They look after they're foster carers, so they look after kids that are on like respite and all that kind of stuff. That's a really stressful job, because whilst they've got the challenges of the children, they've also got the challenges of dealing with a very, very, very difficult system in terms of like just the paperwork and the bureaucratic BS that goes on in the background. I've been working with them for a few years, so I want to build that up and do more of that, so that that part pays for the clinic and all of the investment that I've made. And then I want to open a foundation, and I want to be able to make that holistic practice available to more people that maybe can't afford it right now. So that's my long-term plan. So if you know any businesses that want wellness, send them my way, because that's what my long-term plan is, to have that paid the everyday, and then I can give back. I do give back already a little bit to the limit that I can at the minute. But that's what I want to do long term. I want to actually have a proper foundation in place, or a charity, but I think foundation's a bit easier to manage and open initially than a charity. You have to jump through so many hoops for a charity, from the research that I've done.
Yeah. And that's
So
what
yeah, so that's my long term
on your journey, the things that you've learned along
Yeah.
the way that's brought you to where you are now.
Yeah.
But also with that, because there's been this pivot as well, as you've built your own business, that brings you this sense of joy, and you're really invested in what you're doing, which helps with your health anyway. It helps.
Yeah,
with
100%. Oh, I absolutely love doing wellness days and sound baths, because when you facilitate something like that, you're receiving just as much as you are giving, and allowing other people to receive as well. So I still remember the very first wellness day I ever did. I always knew I wanted to do wellness days, and I said to my business coach at the time, I've never done it before. And he went, Diane, no one's ever done it for the first time. everyone that's in business right now has had a first time.
Yeah.
So just put your big girl pants on
Yeah.
and get it done.
Yeah.
When you put this phone down to me, I want you to tell me tomorrow that you've done this, 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 and this. And of course, when the old Diane, you tell me to do something, I do it. So that kicked in, and I went, right, I've got to do this, 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 and this. And I went off, and I emailed him the next day, and I went, I've done this, 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 and this. I've got the date booked, the hotel's booked. Now I've just got to find out how to do the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I still remember it. I had, how many people did I have? It was a smallish event. I think there was like 5 or 6 people. They were all there to help me. So it was a really beautiful day. It went swimmingly well. And I mean, to the point where it felt like I'd been doing it forever. Yeah. And I just knew at that point I was absolutely in the right place at the right time. And we'd run it from 10 till 4. So it was like a mini retreat day. And I remember doing like the closing circle at the end and thanking everyone for coming and telling them what would happen next and da 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 da. And I looked up at the clock and it went tick for 4 o'clock. And I was
Oh, wow.
oh my God. Thank you.
Yeah. But you know,
and I've been doing it ever since.
But when you feel like that about the work that you're doing, other people can feel the enthusiasm and the excitement and the because and that's so much more attractive to other people, isn't it? Than if you're doing it.
You hope so. You hope so.
Yeah.
I think all you can do is you put yourself out there and the right tribe will find you.
Yes. Yeah.
And I might not be for everybody, I get that. But there's enough to go around for everybody.
Yes.
And, you know, I just think as long as you stay in your lane and you stay true to yourself and stay true to your path, the rest of it will just unfold in the way it should. And have trust in it. Because you will have diversions. I've had so many diversions already, and my journey is still quite new, really. When you look at it, I've got diversions coming out my ears at the minute, but I'm like, okay, let's just move forward, and let's just work on what we can work with, and just if it's not in my circle of control, I always think of it like an egg. You've got like the yolk in the middle, which is this perfect little circle, and then you've got the white bit, which kind of just goes like that, doesn't it? And it just goes all over and it's irregular and it doesn't have a shape, and sometimes it's small and sometimes it's half over one side of the pan and sometimes it's half over the other side. You've got no control over that. And I just think, is it my yolk? Can I control it? And if I can't, I've just gone, I'm not even going to give it my energy. It's not coming in my field. If I can't control it, I'll look at the bit I can control and I just focus on that bit. And I think that's a really good lesson for most people. Is it your yoke? Yeah. And you'll hear me say that. In my head, I do it. Is it my yoke?
Have you got T-shirts with that on?
Yeah, that sounds like
hashtag. Is it your yoke?
Is it my yoke? I know. It's kind of what I say internally to myself now. Yeah. Even like with the kids and with hubby and with home and like what's happening outside of like the clinic and stuff with my health at the minute. I'm like, okay, what can I control? And what can't I control? And I'll just give the energy to the bit I can control, because if you're putting more energy into that, then it's going to be a good thing. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that feels like a really good point to end.
Top tip, is it in your yoke? You're going to get me a T-shirt now, aren't you? I'm going to receive a T-shirt with an egg in the post.
When your episode goes live, there will be a hashtag, is it your yoke?
Maybe I should do that on my, I'm just starting to get in like the whole Instagram.
Oh my God, it's a minefield.
By the way, my 17-year-old does it for me. I don't. I send him the videos and go, do this, do that, put this music on. And he's autistic, so he's like, like that. And he'll do it for me, and then he just posts it, and I'm like, brilliant. So I'll have to do one on your yoke, won't I?
You definitely will. You definitely will.
Thank you so much for joining us, Diane. It's been lovely talking to you today.
Marion, thank you for the invite. Thank you for the invite. I hope that some people get something of it, even if it's just to know that actually it doesn't matter where you fall to, there's always a way out. There's always a way out, and there's always a reason for it. And it's just having that trust that the reason will come forward when it's ready and to find time in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Diane. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email us at info@wildwiseandcurious.com or reach out on our socials at wild_wise_and_curious. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Stay curious and we'll see you next time.